On this episode of That Deep Podcast, we dive into the highs and lows, the ebbs and flows of caregiving. I'm joined today by Tamika Mack Brockington, who is a caregiver, daughter, and witness to her mother, Shirley Kelly Mack Singletary. I hope you enjoy and take away something from listening to a snippet of this journey of rediscovery and faith as she moves through the complex dimensions of dementia.
Well, my name is Tamika Brockington. I am a mother of 3 girls, wife of 1 husband. I'm a caregiver for my mom at this moment.
Okay, so how has that journey been? How has that caregiving journey been for you?
Oh, it's been a journey. I was always one that, like I said, I had a salon, and so I'm working, and so I was always at the salon. The salon was a baby, and it's still a baby that God had given to me. So through a dream, and so once we got here to Georgia, um, it was birthing time. So that was Serenity Creations, and to me it was more than just a hair salon. It's a ministry that God had me on during those seasons, though that time. And so women are my ministry. And so working in the salon was like, yeah, I got this down pat. It's good. I'm doing what it is that God has me to do. While I'm doing the hair, I'm still encouraging. I'm trying to inspire, and share the gospel, with those that are sitting in the chair, in the salon chair. So it was, one of those things. And then just while doing that, he birthed, something else called Beyond Hair. And so that was another ministry. I was like, okay, God, so Beyond Hair was something that he had given to me where, of course, I know these clients and then we deal with their hair and things of that nature. But he's like, yeah, but we need to go beyond the hair. There are some things that, people get their hair done to a lot sometimes just to cover up, cover themselves up, to hide. You're doing the outer now with their hair. Now I need you to dig deeper into the inner, And so I've always said, God, help me see beyond what I see in the natural. And that's what Beyond Hair, was beginning to birth, because I wasn't only seeing the women as just clients or just who they were showing me to be, but God was allowing me to see beyond that. And there were women who were in pain. There were women that was dealing with insecurity. There were women that were wearing, what we call camouflage or facade. Facade. They were looked the part. They had the hair, they had the makeup, they had the clothing, but beneath all of that was pain. And so that's something that God was allowing me to see. And so then I could communicate with them on a different level. So while they were in my chair, getting their hair done, healing was taking place. Deliverance was taking place. There were some that needed to restore, like marriages and all of these different things. All of that was taking place because he was allowing me to see beyond the hair.
So tell me, like, with you having that vision and everything, and you come to find out grandma has dementia.
Oh my God.
Like, what was your thought process?
I was in denial for a good bit. And I'm going to say that because 2017 was when my mom got diagnosed with what they call onset Alzheimer's, which is the beginning stages of, the dementia and stuff. And, I would go to the doctor's appointments and stuff with her and everything. But mom would she could tell that something different was going on with her. And so she would always tell me, Tamika, I'm losing my mind. And I'm like, Mommy, stop saying that. Go by the Bible. Be careful what you speak, because you can speak those things, into existence. And so I was like, you need to stop saying that you're losing your mind. Okay, keep saying you're losing your mind, and then you're going to lose your mind. Not realizing what I was actually saying, And so during that time, I was like, Ma, it's okay. She would wait for me to get home from work, to go to the grocery store. And I'm like, why you wait until I get off, to go to the store? And I just don't feel right. I don't feel like driving. I'm not, that easy with driving. I was like, Mommy, you better use what you got before you lose it. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that I would say, and not trying to be mean, but I knew the diagnosis that they had given her, so I was like, come on, don't give in to that. Right. Don't, just because they told you that you have dementia, don't mean that you got to start acting like you had dementia, not realizing that she was beginning to lose her identity, beginning to lose herself. And so when the pandemic came, that's a couple of years later when the pandemic comes, now I have to close my salon down for just a short while because, that's when they did all the business, shutdowns and stuff. And I shut the salon down. And so that means that I was here at home all the time. I had, and man, this journey, didn't only have mommy on it, but, with Shanti, baby girl, all of this stuff took place almost like simultaneously at the same time, and while I was at home, I was able to see different things that mommy was doing when it came to cooking, how my mom is an awesome cook, but I'm like, she would forget that she put season in the food. Salty. Yeah, she would forget she put season in the food, and so she'd go back and season it again. Mm-hmm. So the food was starting to taste different. She'll put something in the oven and forgot she put it in there. Mm-hmm. So, it was starting to get burnt. Then now it was starting to, silverware was starting to disappear. Right. Forks and knives and, little things were starting to happen. She would get up in the middle of the night because she's now retired, and she would get up at night and have her jacket on, still with her night clothes on, have a video. And I'm like, where are you going? She's like, I got to go to work. Mommy, you don't work anymore. Don't tell me, no, you come on back in the house. Who are you telling to come? Because mommy a little feisty. And, and I would be like, Ma, come on back in the house. And so that would make me upset. And so I was like, man, this dementia is real. I'm seeing what it's doing to her, And so reality did kick in when they opened the salons back up and I went back to work. She couldn't be alone by herself anymore because of so much was going on. And I remember God saying, okay, it's time to shut it down. Right. Shut what down? Lord, he's like, it's time for you to change your priorities. What do you mean? He was like, no, I need you to be at the house and take care of your mom. No.
I can only imagine having your own salon, making your own money, doing what you love, and then you just have to stop all of that immediately.
Yeah. Yes.
Like you're in flow state.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's just no. No. And it's like there's nothing you can do about it.
Especially when you are in a relationship with God.
Right.
And you hear him clearly and you understand, you understand what being disobedient can cause, And so I threw a whole tantrum in the salon one day by myself. I was like, no, God, no. Then I was like, where was she? Where was she? I got a husband. I got kids. I got my business. I got my ministry going. This is my life. So God, now I got to put all that on hold. I got to stop. And he says, yes. I was like, God, that's not fair. That's not fair. I mean, and I went way back to childhood.
So what was that like, childhood?
My childhood, I didn't have a bad childhood, so I would never say that at all. My mom and dad got a divorce when I was at the age of 5, and it was just me, mommy, and Anthony. On this journey, I had to understand who my mom was. It caused me to say, where was she? Because my mom she worked. She worked every single day. She provided and made sure that we had food in the cupboards,
Right.
had our clothes on, that we needed, that we had everything that we needed, with the exception of time. And so she, on the weekends, she wanted to hang out with her friends. She wanted like a club, or they go to this little club called Aces or Pink Lady, the stuff like that.
She liked to get down.
She liked to go, she'd go to the club and social. She was a socializer. She was a social butterfly.
Right.
She loved socializing. And so she could do that, we would spend a lot of time at my grandparents' house. Or we'd go to another auntie house sometime, or we'll go to this lady that we call Nana house sometime. That we were on the weekends, we were at different people's houses so that mom can go and socialize. I was on the band, I was doing a lot of things in school, but mom didn't really participate with a lot of that stuff. Because when the weekend came, and if it's something that we had to do on the weekend, she wasn't going to be there because she had time for that. And so all of that came back, and I didn't know that I was holding on to that. I didn't know that I still was kind of upset about that. So that's where the where was she came from. When when she wanted to do what she wanted to do, when she had the ability to do what she wanted to do, she did what she wanted to do. So why I got to stop my life? I got my kids. I want to spend time with my kids because I'm going to give them something that I didn't feel like I got from her, And I wanted to be able to make money and provide. Although I had a husband, but I wasn't the type of person that would ask my husband for money. And it wasn't pride. It was just, no, I used to get told no so much when I was younger because, dad paid child support, but the child support took care of something else. And then mommy had to, they didn't make a lot of money. We lived in the projects, and she worked at the factory. And so when I wanted money or wanted certain things that my other friends had, I was being told no. And so I was like, you know what? When I turn 15 and I'm able to work, I'm going to make my own money. And I ain't asking nobody for nothing. I am 52 years old and still struggle with that. With me asking anybody for anything, And so, all of that came back. And I was like, oh my goodness, why am I so angry? Well, I didn't even know that was in there, Lord. And so and that's when he helped me to be able to understand who my mom was, and me and my mom would sit down and have conversations, and we would talk. Because with this dementia kind of like took her back to her childhood. And so she has shared things with me and say that she felt like she was the black sheep of the family, that nobody, loved her, that nobody had time for her, and things like that. And so it began to show me a different character of a different side of who my mom was. I just looked at her as mommy, but then it's like God showed me this is who Shirley Kelly, the little girl. Yeah. And so I remember calling because there were things that she would share with me. And so I remember calling my grandma. And I was like, okay, so what happened to mommy? What is this? Because mommy was strict.
Yeah, very.
Y'all think as grandkids, man.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
My mom was strict. And so there's a lot of things that she didn't allow us to do, but there were a lot of things that she didn't really do with us. So it's like that protector side of her. I'm protecting y'all from the streets. And you just, and y'all ain't gonna have the freedom to go to the streets. Right. But I don't want to say that I don't have time, but she wanted to grow up. My mom got married at 20. you know. So there's a lot of things that she didn't do, and the reasons why she got married at such a young age because she was running. As I tell you, this journey has been crazy because it opens my eyes up to so much. I had to just learn who she was, why she made the decisions and the choices that she made, and it wasn't because she was just being a mean mom.
I can only imagine like being in your 20s, married. Because how old was she when she had Anthony?
Let me see, she graduated from high school in 1965. So she was 19. And so she got married in 1966 when she was 20. And then she had Anthony in 1967. She wasn't even 21 yet.
See, okay. And that there just very much like from my perspective, I'm 25 now. No kids, no husband, thank the Lord. And I can only imagine having all of that plus still trying to figure out who you are as a person.
My grandma worked. And so as she go back to work, whose responsibility are the children going to be on? Or mommy? So my mom like, look, I'm not going to stay at home and keep your children while you go to work. And then my grandmother also was on the choir while you go to church. Mm-hmm. And grandma and mommy was so much alike. So they would hit heads like crazy. Now my mom is crazy about her mama, but my mom was a lot like her mom. She got married so she can get up out of Henrietta Harley house, as she would say. And so when she left Henrietta Harley house, she went to James Mack house, which is my daddy. And there were rules there as well. And she like, look, I just want to be free. I just want to live. But honey, the first time you had sex, you got pregnant. Now you got a baby.
I would lose my mind.
And so she probably like, man, I'm still stuck. Yeah, and so God had to, he showed me all of that. And as I began to see all of that and it came up, I began to, that anger and bitterness begin to turn into compassion, because it seemed like my mom was just running after freedom, even when after, of course, she had us, and then her and dad got the divorce and stuff like that. And we went through school and everything like that. That's why, like I said, she was as strict as she was, because she wanted to, she didn't want us in the streets, and she wanted also her freedom. It's crazy when you think about it. But then after that, it was a change of, it's like our lives kind of like parallel a little bit. Because I too got married at 20 as well. And I wanted to get up out of South Carolina as well because all of my friends was leaving. And I started dating Isidore. Isidore showed back up in town. And I believe that was God ordained as well. It caused me to have compassion for her because I was like, she was just trying to find herself. Because her and I was living together in a trailer. When I decided, to get married, my mom was like, well, Tamika, because I married a guy who was in the military, and we was getting ready to get stationed in Germany. And so with mommy, she was like, well, you get ready to leave. And so she had a little friend named Mr. Robert. And Mr. Robert would just go for rides and stuff on Sunday evenings. So it wasn't like they was in no relationship or nothing like that. And so she said, well, Tamika, you get ready to get married, so maybe I should marry Robert. She said, and then me and Robert can help each other with the bills because you're leaving. And I was like, well, if that's what you want to do, mommy, okay. I got married May 30th, 1993. And so we got married at the same time. And so she's now in a relationship with this man that she really don't love, but they just got married so they can help each other out.
Convenience.
And so that was a whole another journey, different journey that she had to be on, that she wasn't happy in. She was just married out of convenience. Just married. She still was trying to find herself. She still was searching for freedom, you know. And so she married Mr. Robert. I left and went overseas to Germany and stuff. And then we left from overseas to Germany and went to Kansas. When 9/11 happened, Israel got orders to go to Korea for a year. And so he said, Tamika, since I'm going to Korea, why don't you just go to Charlotte with your mom? Because she was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. And by then, she's already gotten a divorce from Mr. Robert, you know. And but my mom was going through depression. She was going through, a lot of pain in her body. She had fibromyalgia. She was taking antidepressant meds, just a lot of things I think that was really going on with her. I think her stress was breaking down her body. So when Isidore came back from Korea, he said, Tamika, why don't you get your mom and tell your mom to come stay with us for a year? And I'm like, huh? We can go back to Kansas. And you want my mama to come stay with us? You don't know Shirley Mack Singletary, ain't no joke. And he was like, yeah. He said, because that way, because we would help mom out. He says, it's easier to take care of one household than to take care of two. My brother was in Charlotte and he was helping mom with the different things, but he had a whole family himself. Mommy said, okay, I'm coming, but I'm only staying for 1 year. That was a setup by God. Because when we went back to Kansas and mom went back to Kansas with us, deployment started. That's when the Iraq war and all of that stuff started then. So mom was with us, came with us then, and has been with us ever since. But I believe that that's how God had it to be, because he knew that we would be where we are now. But I didn't know that I was going to go through the emotional breakdown that I went through, taking me all the way back to my childhood. But he had to do that to show me what was in me that I didn't know was in me, so that it'd come out. And that's what he told me. He said, in order for you to take care of my child, which is my mom, the way that I want you to do it, then you got to get rid of all of that that's in there that you don't even know that's in there. My way of thinking had to change. My way of being had to change. My way of, looking at my mom. I never mistreated her, but I think there were different things that I would get frustrated about with her because of what was in me.
Yeah, like a resentment.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw my mom for who she really was to the core. A sweetheart. Now I have compassion. Now I'm mad at my family.
Tell me about that. Let's get into that.
I felt like that I was in this by myself. Because now I'm like, look, mommy, that's our mom. It's always been just the three of us. So why does it feel like I got to take this journey of taking care of her by myself? Yeah. I get it. You got a wife there and you have kids, but you also have a mom. Although the Bible tells the man to cleave not to his mother, he also tells us to honor thy mother and thy father for our days to be, long upon the land. So I'm like, where are you? I'm doing it. We only live an hour apart. I should see more of you. I should hear more from you, But I didn't get that. I didn't get that. I couldn't understand why. And it could be that there's some things that's just like it was deep down in me, deep down in him. I don't know. I didn't ask those, questions. I just wanted to know, where are you? I had a little resentment against his wife because I was like, why don't you tell your husband to come help with his mom? I was angry. I was, then I thought about my family back in South Carolina. Although they're in South Carolina, I'm like, y'all could say bring Shirley down here so I can have a break. you know. Although we would go to South Carolina, it still wasn't a break for me. I was upset with her sisters. They're my aunts, but I see them more like one is like a mom, one is like a big sister, and then I call my aunt Barbara Ann is like a fairy godmother. I was trying to figure out, well, why y'all not helping? I'm in this by myself. I went on Facebook and deleted everybody. I was upset with the church. My mom was part of the usher board, the hospitality. Out of just the love of her heart, she would cook dinner for the pastor and the first lady about every Sunday. Tell them come to the house, get you something to eat. Don't worry about going home trying to cook. I was trying to figure out where they was at because my mom was a church mother, and my mom being the church mother, right. Y'all can at least come visit. You can at least, come and check in and see how she's doing. You can at least come and give her communion while she understand what communion is. You can at least come and pray with her. I grew up where we would go do home visits. You go check in on the sick and shut in. That's how I grew up with my grandma and granddaddy. We go visit people on Sundays, that couldn't come to the church. So the church came to them. So I was trying to figure out where the church at, where my family at, where the people at. And nobody was showing up. And so I was upset because they wasn't meeting the expectations that I had in them. Yeah. And that's when God was like, bingo. Just because you go to the church and there's a pastor and, all these different things that we say, we put our expectations in the people. And God being who he is a jealous God. I also needed to have my expectations in him. I also needed to rely on him. He said, you so busy having all your expectations in the people until you're leaving me out. And in order for you to take care of her, you got to be able to hear from me and not just man. That was a gut punch because it also opened my eyes up to, well, why were you doing all that you was doing in the ministry?
That's a good question.
So were you doing that, for man, or was you doing it for God? Yeah. So you expected praise from man in all that you were doing, when in anything that you do, all glory goes back to God. And so sometimes we can get caught up, with that because we would stay busy and keep doing things over and over within the church, within the ministry, but we're doing it for the people, to get gratification and praise from the people instead of doing it for God. Right. Instead of doing it because that's what he told you to do. It made me change my perspective in my relationship with God and man, period. He says, seek ye first the kingdom of God. You got to seek after me. You got to stay focused on me. In order to do this, and that was at the top of the pandemic when all of this, when everything was happening during the pandemic. He gave me those 3 words. He says, focus. And I'm thinking that this is just for the pandemic. And it wasn't just for the pandemic. It was for this assignment. Right. And so he said, you got to focus. You have to have a keen ear. And you also, then I give you clarity on everything that's going on. So focus, keen ear, and clarity. Right. And then it was another word that he had given to me was intentional. Therefore, a lot of things that took place was done intentional. The people that I thought was supposed to help me, God was intentionally not allowing them to do so. Don't get distracted by what people are not doing. You got to stay focused on me. Don't get distracted by what's going on in the pandemic. You got to keep your eyes and stay focused on me. You got to have a keen ear so that you can hear amongst all of the noise and the chaos that's going on. Because with the pandemic, that's chaotic. With dementia, that's chaotic. But in order for you to hear me in the midst of all of that, you got to tune in and have a keen ear to hear. He that has an ear, let him hear. And he said, and then you will understand what is taking place, what is happening, not only in the world out there, but also in your world on this journey that you're in. I give you clarity, but you got to stay focused on me. So there's going to be times that you're expecting this person to do that and expecting that person to do that. Well, no, they can't. It's me. He also gave me the scripture, Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all thy heart. Lean not to thy own understanding, in all thy ways. Acknowledge Christ and he would direct your path. And so that's how I'm able to do what I'm doing, the way that I'm doing it, is because I got to trust God and I got to focus and listen in on him. So the forgiveness came. I had to ask for forgiveness because I was upset. And then because I was upset, I ain't going to sit here and act like, I wasn't expressing how I was upset. I wasn't cursing nobody out or going off on nobody, but ain't nobody heard a whole lot from me. So that had to transform me into more of a different person. I don't see things the way that I used to see them. I'm like, God, this is an honor to be able to do what I'm doing. You trust me that much to take care of one of your precious ones? Because I know the life that she lived and the relationship that she had with God was real. This powerful vessel that touched so many different lives, the very thing that I was wanting from her, she was giving to a lot of people. He did restore that time back when he told Isidore to ask her to come stay with us. And so all of that I didn't gain, or didn't think I was getting when I was younger, she gave. And she gave that a 100% because I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to wash clothes. My mom helped me practically raise y'all. So God restored that time. He made that relationship, that bond that I wanted with my mom when I was younger. I got it. I had to I just had to open my eyes and see that that's what I have. When God takes the sheet or the cover from off of your eyes and you really look beyond what you see in the natural, and you're like, wow, she was there with me. She was there. She did give me that love and that help, that attention. So that's where the clarity comes in at. Even with the pandemic and the church and the ministry and stuff, a lot of times we run to the church building, which it tells us not to forsake the assembly, but God is not only in the building. And he's like, this is personal. My ears are really sensitive now to hearing the voice of God because I'm intentionally seeking, listening, looking for him in everything because he's a part of everything. There's nothing that happens by happenstance. Good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. It's part of growing. It's a part of learning. It's a part of maturing. I'm 52 years old and still maturing, still growing, still learning. He's still teaching me. So all of that I went through, it has made me stronger, wiser, better. I feel like as a mother because y'all have helped me a lot. I remember you telling me, Mom, you got to change your tone. Taking care of someone with dementia is nothing. It ain't no play pretty thing. as they would say, twice a child, once an adult, is like the adult that's aging backwards. And I know some people don't like to compare them as a child, but when you living with it and you see it, they no longer know how to go to the bathroom by themselves, feed themselves. He showed me, he said, dementia is like being in a different dimension. I remember the neurologist telling me when we went to one of her doctor's appointments, because me and mom had got into an argument. So she was upset with me because I was telling her that she had put something in a certain place and she said she didn't do it. And I said, yes, you did. She was like, no, I didn't. I think it was like we had some seafood or something and she hid it in the cabinet. You gonna tell me what I did and what I know I didn't do? I said, yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna sit here and let you think that what you did was right. It wasn't right, you know? And so she just stopped talking. I was like, well, okay. She told the doctor on me. I said, well, I was telling her the truth. And the doctor looked at me, she said, and you're gonna have to learn how to fight your battles. Because in her mind, she did it. Although in your mind and you saw and you was like, you could see that what you're saying is right, but she don't see it the same way that you see it. And you're trying to take care of her or allow her to come into a space that she no longer lives in. So what you're going to have to do is go to where she's at. That's why that was like, stay focused, keep a keen ear. I'll give you clarity. You know, all of that intention, all of that started coming to life. And I'm not going to say this is a perfect, because I have my moments. But as I tell people, have your moment, but don't stay in it too long. You're going to have a moment. God, Jesus, he said, anger, but sin not. In the Bible, it talks about on the road to Damascus. I'm on the road to dementia. So I'm on that journey, and you're going to have some hills that's going to be hard to climb. I've stumped my toe. I've had my moments. You have your moment. You cry about it. You kick and scream about it. Now, all right, get back up. I must say I love it. I'm honored. I fall in love with my mom more and more each day. I mean, you see me in there, kissing on her face, and just to see her in such a calm state, even when she's frustrated when I'm trying to change her clothes or change a diaper or something like that. I've learned how to use a calm voice. I make sure that I let off the right type of energy. If I come in there with some negativity, she gonna come back with some negative energy. And so it teaches you how to be humble, how to forgive for real. It teaches me how to listen beyond what I'm hearing, see beyond what I'm seeing. So that word beyond, I'm thinking it was one thing, and I guess that's why God put it right there like, yep, you the one get ready to go beyond there. Right. When different ones, that Tamika, you're doing such a good job. God is going to bless you, baby. I understand what you're saying, right. But what I'm doing is a blessing. As I take care of He's going to take care of me. It's not about just a blessing, but it's all about the blesser. But He says that His sheep knows His voice, and a stranger they will not follow. You're in a relationship with God. He promised to take care of us. He promised to never leave us nor forsake us. He promised to be our strength. If He said it, you're the one that have the choice to believe it or not. And if you believe it and believe Him, then you'll be all right. Then you'll be all right.
Thanks, Mommy.
You're welcome.